All right, welcome back and bear down. I appreciate every one of you who tunes in. Newest edition of the Bears offseason mock draft, including an entire mock draft. I want to thank every one of you for tuning in. I appreciate every one of you. This channel is growing, and I appreciate your part in it. So please, if you don't mind hitting the subscribe button if you haven't, ding, ding, and then hit your notifications, as well as hit the like button. I do appreciate that. It helps with the algorithm. But I try to put some basis behind every single one of my mock drafts that I do, a reason behind it. So yesterday, the news broke of Ben Johnson and the rumors of Dennis Allen, which will probably be substantiated very soon. Hank Fraley is the offensive coordinator, potentially, Riz, as well as the defensive special teams coach. We'll see what happens. That might all be announced today. Big day for the Bears with the press conference being held, so that'll be a lot of fun. Getting this out in the morning. But that one's centered around maybe taking some Saints players, maybe taking some Lions players. I like to have some reason why I do the mock draft and what it might unfold. With this one, I'm going to take some of the basis that I had off of yesterday's video, which involved around Hank Fraley. I'll link that in the description if you haven't seen that video. Really, I think a good idea about how he can help bring free agency in, as well as develop the line that we have. Yesterday was discussed at length how Ben Johnson has a really clean slate with this offensive line. There's only 4 guys under contract, and really probably 3 of them that will stick around if we cut Ryan Bates. So there's a really clean canvas here, and they can go after it with free agency, with the draft. So that's what I'm going to hit in this one. I know a lot of you have made comments. A lot of you have made comments about me not taking a tackle in the first round. I'm going to do that, but to do that, I'm going to trade down because I don't believe Kelvin Banks or Will Campbell are top 10 players in the draft. The only one that I see as a good long-term solution is someone that can sit behind Braxton Jones this first year, because it does take time to develop as a tackle in this league. Unless you're a blue chipper. There aren't any blue chippers in this draft, but there's a really good prospect that I like. So we'll get right into that. We'll get into the mock draft, but I'm going to center it around rebuilding the offensive line, and then a couple of ideas. A lot of people are out there in Bear space right now. A lot of you guys are really jumping on this whole Ashton Jeanty thing. All right, I'm not going to I'm not going to get into a bashing video of Ashton Jeanty. I do believe he'll be a fine back. I do not believe the Bears should be taking a running back in the first round of this draft. I also don't believe Ashton Jeanty is even the top 3 running backs in this draft. Now, that's very debatable. I get that. But I think everyone should be able to agree that we shouldn't be taking a running back in the first round of this draft, especially if we cut Ryan Bates. That's 7 interior, 7 offensive linemen total, 6 if we only run with 9, I guess. 6 offensive linemen that we have to add to this roster to have quality depth. So I'm not taking a running back in the first round. I won't do it. But I have a good solution that's a compromise that some of you might like. To start it off, one thing I've mentioned recently is the salary cap is going to look a little funky right now with teams signing their future reserve contracts. For the purpose of this video, we'll take out Ryan Bates. Ryan Bates adds us $4 million. We're going to take out the draft signing. We're just going to run with the idea that we have close to $70 million in free agency, and that's actually going to be pretty close after we get cut downs and after we get Ryan Bates cut, after we get players taken back to the practice squad, and then we take out the draft allotment for our draft picks. That'll be pretty close to where we stand with all of that. So with that, I'm going to run through our current roster. What we're going to do, we are going to re-sign Coleman Shelton as a backup. I know a lot of you are ready for him to be out the door, but he really is the best free agent in this class, in my opinion. He has chemistry and cohesion with Caleb already, and he can compete with a rookie. There's really not a good option in free agency unless we go trade for someone, which a lot of teams aren't going to trade for their good centers. Unless we trade for one, there's really not a better option than Coleman Shelton this year. Matt Pryor was a very fine backup. Bill Murray's developmental, and he's on an earning restriction contract, so we're going to keep Bill Murray as well. As we move into running back, we're going to have to draft one. We didn't do anything there. I am going to keep Keenan Allen in this video. Now, they say his value will be somewhere in the 15 to 18 million range. I'm going to have him taking a a team-friendly discount because Caleb loves working with him and he sees the cohesion of what's being built here. So we're going to sign a 3-year, $14 million contract. He's going to want to finish his career here, finish with Caleb growing things out, and see what we can do. So I'm keeping Keenan Allen. I really like that. With that, we're going to have to fill some gaps somewhere else. Jacob Martin, if you haven't seen his advanced metrics, I'm going to repost those soon. But his pass rush win rate, his pressure rate per snap, he really did a good job in the limited action he got. Now he's coming back from the injury. I think it's worth giving him a shot. He'll make a little bit more than he did last year because of the good work he did do while he was on the field. We're going to give him a $2.5 million one-year prove-it deal is what we're going to do with Jacob Martin. Jack Sanborn, we're going to match his restricted free agency, same as Josh Blackwell, backup nickel. We're going to match both of them. Jalen Jones, we're going to match his as well. And that pretty much leaves where we go. Okay, so yesterday's video, we highlighted how Trey Smith could be a huge target and how now it's been said that he's probably going to hit that open market. If you didn't see that video, I linked it. Go check it out from yesterday. So Trey Smith, we're going to overpay a little bit for him because you bring the Brinks truck for Trey Smith. He is an up-and-coming, one of the best guards in the league. He's been consistent every year of his contract so far. This is on his rookie deal, and they're not going to be able to tag him or be able to extend him. So we're going to get Trey Smith, 5-year, $22 million average contract with him. That'll take him into the 2029 season to grow with Caleb. I love this a lot. Now, I'm coming off the idea of bringing Tevin Jenkins back with Kevin Zeitler coming over with the Lions coaching staff. They're going to have some rapport there. And Hank Fraley, I mean, if you didn't see Frank Ragnow talk about Hank Fraley, he doesn't want him to go. He says, I'm going to do anything I can to keep him here. Well, maybe we'll get Frank Ragnow eventually too. But Kevin Zeitler, really good option. I know a lot of you don't like that he's older, but look how Iron Man he's been. 1,000 snaps, 1,000 snaps, 1,000 snaps, 1,000 snaps, 1,000 snaps. Now, he has not missed much time at all. He's been an Iron Man, and just because he's a little older, he's not over the hill yet. He's been playing very high ball, and in fact, his last year was better than probably any of the last 5 years combined. So he did a very good job with the Lions. It gives him a little bit of a pay increase. He was making $6 million last year. Even though he's getting older, he's going to make $8 million a year on a 2-year, $16 million contract. Next, we're going to do a backup for Darnell Wright. Darnell Wright's not going anywhere. Trent Brown's coming back from injury. This is a good option for both of them. Trent Brown can help coach and mentor him, but he doesn't have to play every snap. He's come back from his injury. He's a good backup reserve. Luke Farrell is a good blocking tight end, 3-year, $2.5 million a year, what we're going to sign him for. So after free agency, after re-signing our guys, we came in under the cap, okay? So there's the importance. Now we're going to hit the draft. Will move me off for this one, but you guys, a lot of you guys are really on the notion that Ashton Jeanty is worth taking at 110. Well, if you guys feel that way, I know it's not a need for us. Other teams might feel that way too. It's kind of a foregone conclusion that the Cowboys will be taking him at 12. Well, another team that needs a solid running back that might be willing to trade up to get their guy that would fit perfectly with Jim Harbaugh's offense would be the Chargers trading up from 22. And to do that, they're going to have to give a decent haul. It's not a huge overpay. It's actually very realistic. This is what you could expect from going to 22 to 10. This shows the Rich Hill trade value chart value. So they're going to overpay by roughly 20-ish%. Okay, we're going to get their first rounder, 22 overall, their second rounder, 55, their fourth rounder this year, their sixth rounder, and they have 3 6th-rounder for comp picks, so they're not going to have a hard time giving that one up. And then a future third-round pick. That is value. That is when you trade away. When a team like the Chargers says, you know what, we do believe Ashton Jeanty is the future. We believe he's the best running back since Barry Sanders. We're going to trade up to get him. The Bears, they would be dumb not to take this offer and say, you know what, that helps build our franchise. We need more things than just a running back. Let's roll with this. With that, at pick 22, I talked about not loving the idea of taking a tackle. I like Josh Simmons a lot. I think if he came back from injury and had one more year in college, he would be a top 10 pick for sure. Right size, right height, right weight, good speed, good explosion, as well as long arms. So he's played right tackle, but the last 2 years he played left tackle. He's done very well at every one of those positions. And I think once he comes back from injury, he's going to be very good. So in this scenario, any tackle is going to struggle if they're not blue chip, okay? They're going to struggle more than a veteran would. Now, Braxton Jones is on the last year of his rookie contract. Braxton Jones would start over a first-round pick, Josh Simmons. I truly believe that. But Josh Simmons is there in case any injury happens. Whenever he needs to step in, then he can prove himself, and he's going to take over. Unless Braxton proves he deserves an extension, Josh Simmons is the guy. And at that point, you figure it out from there. You could even slide him in if you need, but we just signed Trey Smith. We just signed Kevin Zeitler. There's a lot of good options with having this. You might feel like that's a wasted pick. After taking those, you might feel like he needs to start over Braxton. Who knows? Maybe some of you are on the boat that then we would trade Braxton Jones away. I'm not on that boat. Braxton would start. Josh Simmons would play behind him, and they would be able to figure all that out. I'm going to tell you right now, if you are if you're a Michigan fan, you might want to turn away from the screen for the next little bit. At round 2, pick 39, I believe that most of the solid edges will be off the board. There's going to be a couple left, maybe Mike Green, maybe Jack Sawyer. I'm a big Jack Sawyer fan. His tackling and his run defense and his pressure are all really solid. You saw what he did in the games leading up to the national championship. You saw how he played. He's the right height, 6'5", 260 pounds, runs a 4.6 40. He is a solid prospect that a lot think should be higher than where he is. He's very solid at getting pressure. Maybe just lacks a couple of the moves, but he gets in there and he sets the edge really well. So I really like Jack Sawyer. I'd be good with Jack Sawyer. A lot of you feel like Tyleik Williams probably wouldn't fall this far. He might not. But in this scenario, I've taken it the last 2 times right here. There's so many good defensive line players. Some of them are going to fall right here. I'm taking Tyleik Williams. And yes, I've taken 3 Ohio State players with my first 3 picks in this draft. I don't feel bad about it at all. They were obviously a stacked team that won the national championship. Tyleik Williams would start day 1 at nose tackle, and he's absolutely a great option for that. Same thing. Gets a lot of pressure, but also contains the run, sets things very well to be able to shed blockers off, be able to get to the running back. I really like Tyleik Williams as well. Remember, we gained an extra second-round pick. So now with our second-round pick, 55th overall that we got from the draft, we're going to take, yes, another Ohio State player, Travion Henderson. Now, many of you might feel like we should take Quinshon Judkins. I like Travion Henderson more for the Bears because of his workhorse ability. Maybe the other one's already off the board. Maybe Omarion Hampton's gone. Maybe Caleb Johnson's gone. Ashton Gentry's gone. I still like Travion Henderson a lot. He's quick, sub 4.4 speed. He's still a solid back, and he's got natural hands as a receiver as well. He's explosive. He finds holes. He can shift through holes. He has good vision. I really like him a lot. You look at his design 15-yard runs. He's got quite a few of those, 21 on this last year. He's just an overall solid back. You pair him up with DeAndre Swift, and I think we're off to the races for the Bears. All right. Now we're going to trade back with 72. We're going to build a little bit more value. We're going to extrapolate another pick out of this, okay? So with 372, we're going to trade down to 394 and a beginning of the 4th round pick as well. It's pretty fair value for the Cleveland Browns to trade up to that, so it's pretty equal. You're not going to get your lopsided trades here in the 3rd-ish round. But with that, the Bears are going to have 2 picks, 394 and 401 instead of 372. And with that, we're going a different direction than I normally would. We're going to go for speed. In this scenario, we're taking Tez Johnson, and I'm taking this because of Ben Johnson. Ben Johnson likes his speedy receivers, and we don't have someone like Tez Johnson on the team anymore. Well, you might say Ian Wheeler could be this quick, but Tez Johnson's a true flash. 4.33, 40 speed. We'll see how it comes at the combine, but he's a little undersized. But he has really good route running and top speed quick ability. He can get up to speed quick, and he can be a threat down the field. So you see his deep threat ability, 93% there, intermediate 94%. He's a good route runner, and he's going to be in the Senior Bowl. So we'll keep an eye on him, but we're going to take him in the 3rd round, 94th pick overall. Now, next, we've got to pick up our center. So the beginning of the 4th round is where we recalibrate after day 2. We're going to come into day 3 looking for a center. Maybe this is Jake Majors. Maybe this is Seth McLaughlin. Maybe I should have done Seth McLaughlin for another Ohio State center. I really like Jared Wilson. And all these centers are going to fall right in the same range, 3rd, 4th-ish round. And there's a bunch of players that are right now tackles that are 300-ish pounds. I did that in my other video. Check that out if you haven't seen it. The tackles video, the guards, interior offensive linemen, center videos. In there, I mentioned there's a lot of prospects in there that could shift over and play center just like Graham Barton did last year. And these guys, there's going to be a lot of them. So there might be a lot of centers taken in this draft from other positions as well. It's a heavy offensive line draft. And there might be a lot of centers that shift there. So in this scenario, I like Jared Wilson a lot. We're going to take Jared Wilson. He's only had 1 year of experience, so it's very likely he could fall right here. But I love watching him play. And from everything you hear, high character, high intelligence, I think it'd be a great option to come in and compete with Coleman Shelton, have an opportunity to win that starting job. So with our extra pick we picked up, we're getting Jared Wilson. Now the other pick we picked up from trading down from 110 to 122, we're going to pick up Lathan Ransom. Yes, another Ohio State player. I know. don't hate them. It just kind of fell this way, and then I just rolled with it. Guys, they were obviously a good team for a reason, but I really like Lathan Ransom at the safety position. Help shore up the position because there are a lot of question marks around Jaquan Brisker. Hopefully, Kwani can come back. Even then, he wasn't top 10 in the league. There needs to be competition, iron sharpening iron. Lathan Ransom is also going to be in the Senior Bowl. He'll be fun to watch. Very good prospect as well, and a good blitzer when needed to be as well. All right. With our next pick at 147, I've shown this guy a couple times. I've really liked him as a developmental guard. I think he's got all the right tools and traits. We're going to run through these a little quicker now. But Luke Kandra, guard from Cincinnati, we're going to take as a backup option to develop. Next, Holland Pierce. I've talked so much about him, I'm not going to talk about him again, but he's a freaking beast. Okay, I'll talk about him for just a second. Huge, 6'8", just needs a little bit more bend in his knees. What better than to be able to have a offensive line coach as your offensive coordinator to help develop you? And he's already trimmed down. He was 430 pounds. He's down to 350 pounds now, 354. He's going to be in the Shrine Bowl, and he's going to be fun to watch develop. So I like the idea of taking Holland Pierce as well. All right, next we're going to take Jackson Woodard as linebacker. You can put Cody Simon in here too for another Ohio State guy. One we're going to take an undrafted free agency. They're all going to compete. It's going to work out. All right, here's a new guy, and this was pitched to me by someone in the comments, and I like the idea. I'm not in love with him. I watched a little bit of his film. I think he's a little clunky. I think he's a little slow. But I love that he's the polar bear. Nash Hutmacher is his name. And Hutmacher, maybe. And he's considered, they call him the polar bear at Nebraska. So he plays defensive tackle. He's also on their wrestling team, a 4-year wrestler. So a little bit slow. He'd come in and develop as a defensive tackle with our last pick in the draft. It's a lot of fun to be able to have him be the polar bear on the team. He's not a bad player. He's just a little bit slow, and I think he needs to develop a little bit more. But I'm not saying he's beyond hope. So we're taking Nash Hutmacher. Nash Hutmacher. All right, anyways. So there's how it all lined up. That's a lot, so we'll just go over this. This is new, the way I've lined this out. You can see the circle, the white circle is the re-sign, the orange is the draft, and the blue is the free agency. Look at how we've overhauled this offensive line. This would be absolutely fabulous. Yes, I know Trey Smith is the right guard. He's going to shift over because Kevin Zeitler's played his whole career at right guard, and I think he's still young enough that he'd be fine making that transition. You got Jared Wilson. Then you got Coleman Shelton, Matt Pryor, Trent Brown. You got Luke Kandra developing, and you got Josh Simmons, who could take over for Braxton Jones as soon as he gets up to speed, gets to the NFL level, and develops. I really like that offensive lineup. This might be my favorite mock that I've done with the idea of Hank Fraley coming in to recruit and to be able to help develop. Kevin Zeitler coming with them. Trey Smith coming over on the huge contract. Jared Wilson with Coleman Shelton in the background. I really like this offensive lineup. It's deep as well, so I love it. Next up at running back, all we've done is add Travion Henderson, but that's a huge add. I love it a lot. Then at wide receiver, we're going to retain Keenan Allen. Look, we've still got our same guys, but we've got a better offensive coordinator. I'm excited to see what could happen here. Even what could happen with Gerald Everett, how he was misused last year, and then Tez Johnson giving us a little. I put Colin Johnson. I meant to put Tez Johnson. Sorry about that, guys. He would be through 28 as well. So Tez Johnson would be there and have the speed for us. See what we can do with some deep threat. On the defensive line, you've got the two Ohio State boys, Tyleik Williams, Jack Sawyer, and then you retained Jacob Martin, and we got Nash Hutmacher as well to develop there. At the linebacker and nickel positions, you got Jackson Woodard, Cody Simon. You see how I circled him with two different colors, draft and free. He's an undrafted free agent is why. We've retained Jack Sanborn, and we also retain Josh Blackwell as well in restricted free agency. We matched any offers that they come. Then last but not least, we retained Jalen Jones, and we drafted Lathan Ransom. So I think this is my favorite so far, to be honest. I really like the way this lined up, especially with the offensive line. If we go right back there and look at the defensive line too, Tyleik Williams and Jack Sawyer would help this defensive line significantly. You still got Austin Booker developing. Jacob Martin is on the other side to rotate. Got Big Bill and DeMarcus Walker rotating in. I really like I think that's going to stop the run a lot more with Jack Sawyer and his setting the edge, getting pressure. Tyleik Williams doesn't let anything run past him. I like that a lot. But then on the offensive line, this is probably my favorite part of this draft. Getting Trey Smith, who it sounds like is more available than we thought before. Jared Wilson, Kevin Zeitler, And then Josh Simmons, I mean, that's huge. Our first-round pick, he could be able to come up and develop quickly, see what would happen there. And then you could even trade Braxton Jones midseason if it is working out with Josh Simmons. There's options there. So let me know what you guys think. See if you like this one the most. See if you like all the changes that I made to it, how it would look. Yes, as the Ohio State draft, those who love Michigan, forgive me. It just kind of fell this way, and then I ran with it, and I actually love it. This is probably my favorite one so far. So with that, appreciate you guys. Enjoy the press conference today. Enjoy welcoming in Ben Johnson. Hopefully we hear the rest of the staff very soon. If you haven't hit the subscribe button, do that. If you haven't liked it, I appreciate you doing that. We'll have lots of content as it comes to the draft. It's my favorite time of the year. I absolutely love covering the draft. So with that, the Bears and bear down.